I wanted to talk about this with the DCEU now over, the DCEU about to start. There's a lot of fighting going on, specifically coming from the Snyder cult, basically saying, oh, what we're getting or going to be getting with the DCEU is trash, and we should just have continued Walter Hamada's ideas or what have you. Basically, they're saying what was coming or what is coming with the DCEU is terrible. What they don't seem to understand is, regardless whether James Gunn was coming in or not, they weren't going to get the Snyderverse. They weren't going to get the DC content that they wanted. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit here. Just for a few minutes, I want to discuss and put out there and explain that the DC content that we would be getting right now, moving forward, had James Gunn not been hired to essentially reboot, is not the same as what Zack Snyder had in mind or what the Snyder cult thinks would have come. We all know what happened with the Snyderverse. 2017, Zack walked away, and that's when a lot of things began to change. Walter Hamada then came in I believe 2018, 2019. That's when he kind of took the reins and started moving everything forward into a certain direction. It took a few years, but he decided, or started to put a plan together. His plan did not include Henry Cavill's Superman, at least not initially. His plans were really to erase as much of the Snyderverse as possible. You see, Jason Momoa's Aquaman was a huge hit. He wanted to hold on to what was successful. You had Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, success. That first movie was huge. So he was going to hold on to her. He was going to hold on to that Wonder Woman. He wanted to see what was going to happen with Ezra Miller's Flash. Then again, he couldn't see all the circumstances that were going to surround him in his personal life. But the whole aspect, the whole idea of everything that he was going to do was about erasing the Snyderverse. That's not to say that it wasn't there, that it wasn't going to be in the past. It 100% was going to be there. But he was looking to establish his own DC universe, his own DCU, as you will. The DCEU, the Snyderverse, was going to be erased. It was going to be rebooted. As I liked to have called it for quite some time, it was going to be re-established. And people don't seem to understand that. Affleck was going to be gone. Yeah, sure, he was coming back for The Flash. That was Walter Hamada's doing. He wanted him back in The Flash. And yes, there was going to be a scene, whether it was a mid-credit, post-credit scene, where Ben Affleck's Batman was reaching out to Barry to help find him. Help find them, the Justice League, the versions of those characters that Barry knew at one point in time, which would also include Henry Cavill's Superman, I'm sure. But Walter Hamada was setting up a DC universe where Michael Keaton was going to be the Bruce Wayne in the DC universe at that time. You were then going to have a Batgirl running around Gotham City. Bruce Wayne would be there. He would probably suit up as Batman sparingly. Michael Keaton, he's, nearly 80 years old at this point? He's 70 years old, late mid-70s, something like that. He wasn't going to be the Batman, the Bat figure. It was going to be Batgirl. Sasha Cal, however you say her name, she was going to be the Kryptonian. She was going to be Supergirl. She was going to be that woman of tomorrow, that character, that beacon of hope that Superman would hold. There wasn't going to be a Superman, at least not at that point in time. So you sit here and you listen and I try to sit there and try to understand where these Snyder cultists, these Snyder bros are coming from. They want to sit there and yell and scream about James Gunn. James Gunn this, James Gunn that. He destroyed the DC universe. Look at all those movies that have come out since he's been running DC Studios. They've all failed. Look, the DCEU was failing prior to him coming in. Aquaman is going to be the best, the most profitable, at least box office-wise, DCEU film in years. It's not because of James Gunn. The success isn't because of James Gunn, and the failures of the films beforehand aren't because of James Gunn, because he had nothing to do with it. It was the direction, the lack of understanding of where these films were going. Nobody wanted to see, and when the rumors started coming up about a Batgirl taking over for Affleck's Batman, when the rumors came up that Keaton was going to take on the role of Bruce Wayne in this DC universe instead of Affleck, people didn't like that. But here's another thing that's crazy to think. Affleck wasn't going to stay the Batman in the DC universe even after Snyder left. Snyder had a plan of killing him off. There's so much that these people don't seem to grasp or understand when it comes to the DC Universe. There's so much that has happened, has transpired, has built up over the years. Look, I, as much as anybody, would absolutely love to see the continuation and the completion of the Snyderverse. But I also want to see a well-structured, a well-thought-out, a well-planned-out DC universe that can appease everybody, that I know will have a good beginning, middle, and end. What was going to happen isn't what people wanted, not even myself. When Abdi and DeLuca came in and were trying to muscle their way into getting in David Zaslav's graces and take over DC Studios and be the ones to take over DC Films, when they came in and brought Henry Cavill in to be in Black Adam and then shot a cameo for The Flash, even that wasn't going to be the Superman that you all wanted to see. And we saw that in Black Adam with the John Williams theme, with the bright blue suit, with the curl in the hair. That wasn't Zack Snyder's Superman that you all say you wanted. So as I sit here and I talk to so many of you on X or on Facebook or on, you come at me on my comment section on YouTube, I don't get it. I don't understand why you come and attack James Gunn, who essentially hasn't done a single thing to destroy the Snyderverse when everybody else prior to him has. Every single person has destroyed or tried to erase the Snyderverse in every way possible. Yet, you were so excited when Cavill came back. You ignored the fact that it wasn't going to be the Cavill you wanted. When you found out it was the Cavill you wanted, you then pushed back and said, no, this isn't the Superman we want. And then you wonder why they went the direction they went in. It is a complete mess. This is a long way around saying, look, if Gunn didn't run things, if Gunn wasn't coming in, you wouldn't be getting the Snyderverse. If Snyder wasn't there, you wouldn't be getting the Snyder-esque versions of these characters that you want. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Look, I wasn't excited about what Walter Hamada was doing, but I didn't hate The Flash. I liked Blue Beetle. Black Adam wasn't terrible. Shazam 2 was decent. They weren't terrible films. They weren't as great as I was hoping. I think James Gunn is far better suited than what Walter Hamada was. I think James Gunn is far better suited than even Zack Snyder is at building a larger universe. That's not to say that Zack Snyder isn't good and wasn't suited to build a smaller, secluded story. But when it comes to building a larger, grander, ongoing universe, I think James Gunn is the man for the job. When you're starting to take a look and sit back and look at all of the players that have kind of had their hat in the ring at one point in time. But again, you take a look. No Snyder, no Gunn, you're not getting the Snyderverse. Gunn is the best way forward, in my opinion. But it's a very, very interesting aspect, something that people choose to ignore. You have these cultists, you have these people. I wish I could find it right now. Let me see. You know what? I'm just going to pull it up in the middle of everything. Will Rollins is a great cultist here, that he loves to, like this here. Please, for the love of God, if you are a James Gunn fan, block me and don't engage with me. You lot are beyond toxic, and I can't tolerate people who make excuses for others simply because they like them. Enjoy your fantasy world. Leave me out. Anyone who comments mentions, and he goes on. He simply just can't accept that what happened with Snyder happened in the past. It's over. It's done with. I commend him. I had him on my podcast years ago. I commend him for all the hard work he did for AFSP. That was great. I worked and helped in raising money for AFSP as well as many others. And it was admirable for everybody to do that. But acting like this, creating this toxicity, this isn't good for the fandom. It's not good for anything. It just isn't. If there was no James Gunn, say they would have brought in anybody else, we would still see this type of behavior, because it's not Zack Snyder. It's because it's not going the direction that they want. And it's pathetic. It's pitiful. It's pathetic. It needs to change. And I know I talk about this stuff a lot, but it really is upsetting to me, because I think we're in for something amazing. I think we're in for something that's going to be pretty terrific with the DCU. At least I hope so. But that's what you have to have. You have to have hope. You have to hope that there's going to be something good, instead of sitting there and being so pessimistic and believing that it's just going to all be trash all the time. We have nothing to go off of. We just got to have hope that James Gunn's going to do something good. If it turns out it's bad, then it's bad. And we go back to the drawing board at some point in time. But I think right now, to hold these grudges, like, It's just pathetic. It really is. Let me know your thoughts. Like I said, I think I wanted to talk, like, look, no Snyder, you're not getting a Snyderverse. No Gunn, you're not getting a Snyderverse. With Gunn, you're at least getting something that is better than what we've gotten in quite some time. That's all I really wanted to talk about here. Maybe I got my point across. Maybe I didn't. Let me know your thoughts on what you think about all this. I want to hear them. Throw it in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit subscribe. With all that said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.